Hi there, Terry here. If this is showing up on YouTube, please do me a favor. And it's not just for me, but it's for everybody who's in this group, because then I get little tickers that tell me what things people are interested in, what to focus on more, and it helps me navigate doing posts that are actually going to be helpful for people. So please subscribe. Please like a video if you did. It gives me a lot of feedback. So what I want to ask you today is, this is a specific court reporter thing. And I got to let you know, I'm trying to build a channel that is not court reporter related. And I can't tell you how challenging it is, because it's all the same stuff, but I can explain it so easily when it has to do with steno, with verbatim reporting, with doing something under an enormous amount of stress, with challenging yourself with the impossible, knowing that you have to believe it's possible or it is impossible. Oh my God. Anyway, so that's another channel, and I'll roll it out when I'm good and ready. That's my holdback. I want to ask you today, what's yours? Because I do a lot of groups. Some of you guys know about them, some of you don't, because I'll have people come to me and I'll realize, oh, they have this problem. Oh, they have that problem. They have all the same problem. I'll create a group and I'll work together with you as a group, which is basically more economical for me. And it gets you better results if, big if, you can participate in the group. Now, what I find, now this doesn't happen in non-court reporter groups. Interesting thing. In non-court reporter groups, I show up and there's maybe 4, 5, 6 people, and all their cameras are on and they're all interacting. And if I ask them a question, they're like, I want this problem gone. And I'm going to answer the question and expose myself in a gentle way, because if I can break through this thing, somebody else watching is going to be able to break through too. And I saw Joe Schmo, whatever, last week, and he was vulnerable and honest. And I saw some stuff happening that I realized, oh my God, that's me. And change starts happening in a group. It's a supportive environment. We all got the same shit. So how is your shit holding you back? And how can we make that different? How can we change that? How can we let go of what is not working? So that's a non-court reporter group. Court reporter group, I get on with, I don't know, sometimes 20 people. Nobody's camera's on. No, forgive me, because there's a couple of you that always show up and show up. But for the most part, this is not a criticism. This is an observation. Y'all show up with your cameras off, muted. That's okay. And then I'll ask a question and I hear fucking crickets. Now that used to piss me off, which is why I threw the F word in there. And then I realized they're not being rude. They're not just terrified, because, well, we are. What's really happening? Oh, you're sitting there behind your closed camera, writing like a fucking maniac. Why? Because somewhere along the line, somebody downloaded a thought to you that said every single second behind that machine is 1 second closer to being a paid reporter out in the field. And that's possibly true in a logarithmic world that I don't quite understand yet. Yes, I have a job coming up. And okay, so your mindset is, I have to be reporting every single word that comes at me. Especially with Carrie, because she freaking talks fast sometimes, and then she slows down, and then she takes off again. It's just it's what my mind does. But and learn what your mind does, so you don't fight it anymore. I used to think to myself, what is wrong with you? You just talk so slow, and then you talk so fast, nobody understands what the fuck you're saying, and then you turn around and you try to talk slow again, and it's just a mess. So you know what? That's just who I am. Like it, don't like it, it's okay with me. It's not your opinion of me, is none of my business. If you don't like it enough, you'll go somewhere else. And if I don't like you enough, I can recommend some of the places you can go to. That was kind of passively aggressive. And I really didn't mean it, because I have actually never done that. I'm very careful and tippy-toe around the other people in the industry who do whatever it is they're doing. So what do we need to understand about that whole scenario? Non-reporters show up, interact, and get results. Reporters and reporter students show up, take it all down, and then walk away with the same problem. Why? Because when you're reporting, your brain is in a different function. Even if it's on autopilot, even if you're in the zone, there's some stuff getting loaded down if you're downloaded, if you're in the zone. There is, cannot be otherwise. Like hitting play and falling asleep and listening to a recording. It's going to download. Even if you're resistant, eventually it's going to download. Even a little kid who's resistant to what their parents are telling them, eventually the message will get through. You're an idiot. You're not as smart as little Tommy. You're the problem kid. You're the one I always have to be after all the time. Why can't you just, if you put a little bit more effort in, you could get better grades. That whole thing, you could, there's part of you as a little kid that says, well, it gotta be true. It's not true. I don't want to believe that. But if you hear it enough, repetitively, your brain learns by repetition. You hear it enough, it becomes what you think, it becomes what you believe, it becomes what you habituate, it becomes who you are. 30, 40, 60 freaking years later, you're still unveiling those programs and asking yourself, does this work? Does this not work? Why does it not work? So what I'm going to ask you is, I'm going to be unveiling some programs coming up. Some of them will be paid programs. They will be affordable. Some of them are going to be free because, well, because I said so. But I'm going to do a little poll and find out who's most interested in what. I know we've got holidays coming up, and that is an extremely volatile emotional time of the year, especially for court reporters. It starts triggering everything you've ever been triggered with, the thing that brought you into court reporting, the thing that you came here to conquer, to prove, to show to yourself how amazing and perfect and valuable you are, and you are, but you still thought you had to prove it, and you still do. And I did for a very, very, very long time. And this is a thing that pays so well that it's hard to step back and say, what do I really need to work on? Because it will be all consuming, totally time consuming, money consuming, all of it. So what do you need as a student, as a court reporter, to make the change that you need to make? Now, I love working in groups because if I did a group and I charged, $100 for 8 weeks or $30 for a month, I can do that because I'm working with several people. But if I do one-on-one, if I do a strategy call for an hour or 2 hours, I've been known to do them for free. You can't be sitting there writing on your machine because I'm asking you questions and we're interacting and I'm talking like a crazy person and we're in it together. And I'm seeing facial expressions and I'm seeing what's triggering you and I'm seeing what, the defense layer that you're putting up, which is not a bad thing. It's the logical reason you think you're not getting the results you want. It's not the real reason. It's never the real reason. It's just what the fraidy scaredy cat part of your brain thinks. We got to get past that part. If you're sitting behind your machine with your camera off, we're never going to get behind that part. Not in that session. Good luck. Go pay somebody else $600 for 5 sessions in a row. $3,000 to get the results that you think you want. You'll have to show up in person, lay down on a couch, and not have your machine to fall back on. But you will get a change. You'll get results. And then I have people, I'm going to ramble all over the place. I had people I have worked with recently who went through the session, and I could tell we were not getting to the deep meat of the situation. But that's as deep as they were willing to go in that moment. That was what their logical brain said. These are the reasons. Maybe I'll give you a little bit of the gravy stuff in there, but I'm not going to give you all of it because if I did, you'd solve the problem, and the part of you that's afraid thinks you're going to get rid of it. And then walking away with a recording for 21 days. They don't download the recording. They lose it. They forget to listen to it. They don't listen to it. They don't respond to my emails. And I wonder to myself, should I have taken an $800 or a $1,700 client, or done a reporter or a student for free? What would you do? I'm asking, like, honestly, I want to help you guys, but if you're not willing to show up and strip it all away and say, please, I mean, you're obviously not in enough pain if you can't do that and say, please help me. I'm willing to do anything. And I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything ridiculous, immoral, illegal. I want you to really, all I want for anybody is what my journey was, which was to find out, who the hell are you in there? Why are you really doing the things you're doing? What do you really want? Why are you unhappy? Even though you're making a tremendous amount of money, you've gotten through this thing called court reporting school, so you're not stupid, but you're not happy and you're working yourself to death. Why? Why do you still find yourself afraid to be alone with you when it's deathly quiet? What is so terrifying about that? And you can only answer those questions by facing the thing you're most afraid of. For some of us, we don't know what that is. For me, I knew there were a lot of things. I knew one of them was that I was afraid, deathly afraid, to literally be alone with myself in the quiet, in the dark. It's why I would not meditate. I've actually got, this is so cool, I've actually got a team of people, a couple of them are going for their PhDs, but they're doing literally a study on a lot of what I'm bringing to them, because court reporters are such interesting people, as Bugs Bunny once said. Not about court reporters, but yeah, we are. We're complex, we're deep, we have the same fears, we have the same triggers. It's absolutely fascinating. And so, we're out there and we're trying to figure out, there's a reason why there are a lot of us that have that, not just court reporters, but that have that fear of being alone in the dark, alone by yourself. And that has a lot to do with if you had nurturing support when you were a child. Did you have a safety net? Did you have anybody in your life who said, I got you. I don't care what you do. I'm going to love you no matter what. And I got you. I'm not going to let you fall. I'm here to support you and protect you and nurture you and love you and surround you. And if you didn't have that, then you look at the whole universe, God, and whatever conception you have of it, and you say to yourself, I can't trust any of this. The only thing I've got that I could trust is me. And the defenses go up, and it will protect that part of you to the moment you take your last breath, unless you figure out why it's so scared. Some of that's cognitive learning. Some of it is deep emotional, psychological digging that doesn't have to hurt, but your brain tells you it's going to. So don't do that. Don't go there. Bad things can happen if you find out. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Like, don't pay attention to that man behind the curtain. Why? Because then he can't do what he's doing behind the curtain to continue the illusion. And you will realize it's all an illusion. And then he loses his power. It's kind of fascinating stuff. I mean, I'm hooked. I can't get out of it, nor would I want to. Whew. So, to be in a group with me from now on, to get the change you tell me you want to get, and I'm going to have to figure out a better vetting process, but to get the change you tell me you want to get, if you want to do it one-on-one, we can, but it's going to compensate my time for being away from making money. I'm behind my machine. You guys know how much that could be. It's incredible some days. Or we can do it in a group, which is actually faster progress because it's different. but you're going to have to interact. You're going to have to show up, cameras on, mics open when I ask you, and really letting yourself sink into that slightly uncomfortable place. And I'm not going to do to you what I've had some of the coaches that I've worked with do to me, which was, it was horrifying, but oh my God, it did get an immediate change. It gave me an immediate paradigm shift. And one of them was in a group of, I don't know, was it 10 people in that class? Oh God. And it was like, okay, Carrie, hot seat, boom. And she puts me on full screen in front of everybody. And she tells me, what's your pain? What was your childhood like? What was so bad about your childhood that you think that's the reason you're the way you are today? And I thought, dear God, oh, no. And then she like kept picking at me. Well, what was it like with your mother? Well, what was it like with your father? How did that make you feel? What was that like? What did that make you think about yourself? What did that make you believe about yourself? This was not the bad part. Finally, after she let me unroll it and coaxed me to unroll it as much as I could, she looked at me and she said, you know, that's just your story. That, what do you mean it's just my story? You just asked me what happened. I told you. And she said, yeah, but that's the story you've been telling yourself repeatedly ever since all that stuff stopped happening. Did that happen when you were 11? No, different shit happened when I was 11. Okay, so by 11, that wasn't happening anymore. But you kept it alive. You kept regurgitating it. You kept thinking about it. You kept trying to figure it out and fix it and make it better and make it feel better. And to the point at which you're now how old? And that's still your story. And you're sticking with it. So Carrie, for all of us here, tell us, who would you be without that story? I froze, my throat tightened up, and I burst into tears. Because for the first time in my life, I realized I didn't know who I was. And I didn't know who I would be if I couldn't be the victim in my own life. If I didn't have all those bad things that happened to me to fall back on as my excuse and my reason, and they happened. Oh, fuck, they happened. But if I didn't have them as an excuse, as a reason, then who would I be? What would I do if that wasn't how I defined myself? What I have found is that everything that's happened to us, it did happen. I want to honor that. But I made the same, and I don't even want to call it a mistake because it's just what we do. But I made the mistake of thinking that all those things that happened to me defined who I was, instead of that paradigm shift where I started thinking in terms of these are things that happened for me, and they refined who I am. They don't define me anymore. I get to do that. So thank you for letting me go on. I hope you've gotten something out of this. And I hope you're in that place in your life where you want things to change and for things to get easier and better and to flow, and for you to be, you know, either out of school with the next certificate, working, making better money, being more relaxed in the environment that you're working in. Because seriously, that's why I love what I do. And some people don't, and that's a shame. But I understand why, because I was there, you know, for 30 years out of my career. My machine, my court reporting, was the one thing I felt so sure about. But even in that environment, even making the money I was making, I wasn't happy. I wasn't calm, and it wasn't flowing. It was a massive effort. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be. And you don't have to have extraordinary world championship speeds to make that happen. It's a lot of it is having the cushion to fall back on, that cushion of speed to fall back on, but some of it is just you, how you show up and what you expect and what you believe about yourself and how you comport through the world. You teach the world how to treat you every minute of every day. Love you guys. Have a great day. Be kind to somebody today. You first. I mean, be kind to you first.